Take notes.
My video recorder.
Oh, jeez, the big old camcorder.
Sorry.
Okay, guys.
Remember, learning was easier like 20, 40 years ago.
I don't know. That's too long ago for me. But yeah, 20 years ago, yes, I do. All right, so here as blood is being pushed into the afferent arteriole, into the glomerulus, right? The pressure inside this blood is going to influence the movement of the fluid inside the plasma, inside the glomerulus, to be filtered out into the Bowman's capsules, right? So here you have filtration. Okay. So you're pushing all this water, you're pushing all these solutes into this Bowman's capsule, and essentially all this fluid now is called filtrate. Okay? The filtrate moves from the Bowman's capsule into the proximal convoluted tubules. In the proximal convoluted tubules and the descending part of the nephron loop, you have the majority of reabsorption being occurred, okay, or taking place. The majority of the water, 85% of the water that is being filtered out from the glomerulus will be reabsorbed back into the blood at the proximal and the descending part of the nephron loop. Okay. So we're going to draw it this way, that way. You have water, you have water. Along with water, you also have sodium. You also have chloride. Okay. You also have glucose and amino acids. Now you guys recall what is the main structure that allows for all this reabsorption to occur? What drives all this reabsorption? Because first of all, these reabsorption processes are unregulated. Okay, there's no hormones, there's no autonomic nervous activities that tells these substances to be reabsorbed back into the blood. But something has to be there to kind of set up this whole movement. So this is called reabsorption. Okay. So what sets this whole thing up? What? Starling force? Nope. Starling force set up the filtration in the first place. Osmolality, how would that really help for the reabsorption of sodium and chloride and stuff? But yeah, I'm sort of on the right track. Concentration gradient, okay. Explain. No, I mean, that's good. All right, so here's a cell. Okay, so here's the, let's say this is the distal proximal convoluted tubule. So lumen, okay, which means it's inside this space, right? So here you have the sodium, right? Here you have chloride, here you have water. Right? Here's the cells that lines the proximal convoluted tubule. Here you have your blood vessel. So how do you move these substances from the lumen into the blood vessel?
Detect how much is in the macular thread that are passing by the macular dead cells?
No.
The pump.
What pump?
Sodium.
The sodium-potassium pump. Where is the sodium-potassium pump located at? On the basal end of these cells. Okay. So this is your sodium-potassium pump. Okay. What this pump is going to do is going to move sodium from inside this cell into the blood. Okay. So it's going to take sodium and it's going to push it into the blood, and it's going to take potassium from the blood and it's going to pump it into the cell. Okay. This is going to create a concentration gradient differences between the lumen and the cells. So as it's pumping sodium out, the sodium concentration inside the cell is going to rapidly decrease. Okay? I mean, of course, there's not one pump, right? There's like hundreds of pumps or thousands and millions of pumps down here. Okay? So if the sodium continues to leave, the sodium concentration inside the cell decreases below that of the filtrate. And this allows for sodium to move down its concentration gradient. Okay. So here, as sodium moves down its concentration gradient, sometimes chloride hitch a ride, okay, and then water follows. Now water may just go right in the middle, okay, or it can go through the cell through aquapores and things like that. Chloride may also move between the cells due to the movement of sodium also. Okay. What other things will hitch a ride with sodium based on this sodium-potassium ATPase activity? Glucose, definitely. Right. And maybe also amino acids. Okay. So good. Very, very important mechanism. If you destroy this pump, your kidney is done. Okay. So don't destroy that pump. All right. So here in the proximal convolute tubule and the descending loop of Henle, this is when you have the majority of unregulated reabsorption occurring, right? Reabsorption means moving these substances from the filtrate back into the blood. All right. And then as it moves down and up the nephron loop, this portion of the nephron loop, the ascending part allows for sodium chloride to be reabsorbed. So the descending part is only permeable to water, whereas the ascending part is permeable to only sodium and chloride, and some potassium too. All right. Now this, as the sodium and chloride moves out into the interstitial space before it gets back into the bloodstream, okay, it's going to help influence this environment right around the descending loop Henle. So it's going to cause this environment in this interstitial space to become very, very hyperosmolar. Okay, because here you're adding a lot more of the salt into this interstitial area. And that's going to influence more water to leave this descending loop, okay, as more filtrate is being pushed in. So if you have a lot of water leaving, as this filtrate is being pushed down to the distal part of the loop, this area of the loop is extremely hyperosmolar. Okay. And then as more filtrate pushes down, this hyperosmolar area gets pushed up into the ascending loop. Well, that allows more movement of this sodium chloride out, because now you've increased the concentration of salt inside the ascending loop versus the interstitial space. So then sodium chloride will just move out due to the fact that it has a higher concentration gradient inside versus outside. Okay. So if this continues and you need to continue to preserve more water or conserve more water, this whole system is going to continue in order for you to maximize the amount of water conservation, okay, which means you're going to pull a lot more water back from your urine or from the filtrate. Okay. So this whole system is called the counter current multiplier system. Okay. It's going to help to concentrate the urine that you're going to make eventually. Okay. All right, so now once you move the filtrate past the ascending loop into the distal convoluted tubules, here you have the ability to reabsorb a couple of different things. Okay. So, in order to reabsorb sodium back into the blood, you need to have aldosterone. At the distal convoluted tubules, you can only reabsorb substances, any solutes here, under the influence of a hormone. Okay, and this hormone that influences the movement of sodium back in, and also at the same time allowing for potassium to be secreted, okay, back into the filtrate. So moving a substance from the blood into the filtrate, this is called secretion. And then if you want to reabsorb more calcium because the body needs it, then you may reabsorb calcium through the activities of PTH, parathyroid hormone. All right. So after that, all this filtrate is going to be pushed out into the collecting duct. So as all this volume of fluid is moving down the collecting duct, as a last-ditch effort to conserve more water, okay, you can pull more water back from here, reabsorb more water back from the collecting duct under the influence of ADH. Okay. So, after that, whatever is left moves down this way and is excreted as urine. Okay. So, if you're a nephron, how do you make urine? Filtration, reabsorption, and secretion. All right. So, 3 processes of making urine through different areas. Okay. Filtration can only occur in the renal corpuscle. Does not occur anywhere else. Because none of these areas have those porous type of capillaries in order for filtration to occur. Yeah, porous in a fenestrated way, not a sinusoidal. Okay. Then reabsorption here, unregulated. The majority of it happens here. 85% of water is reabsorbed at this area, and then the rest is going to be, whatever you need at the end. Once you pass the nephron loop, the distal convoluted tubule is going to be regulated. So you either have aldosterone or PTH to help regulate the reabsorption of sodium or calcium, respectively. If you reabsorb sodium, then you will secrete potassium. And then once that filtrate moves into the collecting duct, if you need to reabsorb more water, you just take that water back through the influence of ADH. And you guys remember where ADH is released from, right? Because that will come back. What's that? Hypothalamus. Which part of the hypothalamus? No, it's made in the hypothalamus, right? But made by what part of the hypothalamus? Supraocular. It's not a cumulative finals, but it sort of is. So if you guys don't remember some of those structures, go back and review it.
So reabsorption is